Brethren, I am here to announce to each and every one of you that sin is poisonous. Sin is poisonous to your souls. Sin is poisonous to your souls. Ezekiel chapter 18 verse 20 says, "The soul that sinneth shall die," because sin is poisonous. Sin is poisonous to souls. Romans chapter 6 verse 23. Romans chapter 6 verse 23 says, "The wages of sin is death," all because sin is poisonous to souls. Sin is poisonous to souls of mankind. Genesis chapter 18 verse 20 says, "And the Lord said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous." Their sin is grievous to souls, all because their sin is poisonous to souls. Their homosexual is grievous. It is poisonous to souls. Their fornication is grievous. It is poisonous to souls. Their adultery is grievous. It is poisonous. Of course, it is poisonous to souls. Their extortioners is grievous. It is poisonous to soul. Their violence is grievous. It is poisonous to soul of mankind. Their nonchalant attitude towards the commandment of God is grievous. It is poisonous to souls. Their carelessness attitude towards God's instructions is grievous. It is poisonous. It is poisonous to souls. Their women dress half naked. Of course, it is poisonous to the soul of men. Many of you, your emphasis is constantly on grace, and you never depart from sins. You never knew that sin was poisonous to grace. It is poisonous to your souls. That is why you cannot continue in sin and grace is abound. Romans chapter 6 verse 1 says, "Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound?" Of course, the answer is no, because sin is poisonous to grace that saves souls of mankind. Beloved, the advent of grace discontinue sin in the life of man. It chases away sins. It chases away sins. In Genesis chapter 17 verse 1, the Lord said to Abraham, "Walk before me and be thou perfect." Walk before me and be thou perfect. I could still see some imperfection in your life. You are toiling with what is poisonous to your purpose on earth. You are toiling with what is poisonous to my covenant with you. Of course, my covenant with you was to be father of many nations through the seed of Sarah, your wife. And you went ahead to sleep with Hagar, and she gave birth to Ishmael. This is enough to stop you of being the father of many nations if I have not come to your rescue, Abraham. Beloved, sin is poisonous to the soul of every one of us. In Genesis chapter 2 verse 17, the Lord said to Adam, "But of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die." Of course, thou shalt surely die, because it is poisonous to your souls. It is poisonous to your souls. The sin of disobedience, it is poisonous to our soul. It is poisonous to our soul. It is enough to cut our life short. It is poisonous to our soul. It could cut the life of each one, every one of us short, if care is not taken. Beloved, When God say, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this and that. When you go ahead and do it, it becomes poisonous to your reason for living. It becomes poisonous to your souls. So doing what you are asked not to do is poisonous. In Genesis chapter 2, Adam and Eve had what they were asked not to. This became poison that led to their death. The poison naked them. It brought shame to their life. They became shameful to themselves. Adam and Eve, you were asked not to eat poison, the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, for your own good, but you chose to go ahead and eat it. You ate it. This became poison that cut your testimony short. It became poison that made your life of no blessing to many generations. It brought curses to the human race on the surface of earth instead of blessing. Adam, your wife, Eve, ate poison, knowing fully to you that it was a poison, and you go ahead, you collected it from her, and you ate it. My question to you, Adam, are you bewitched to have done that? Are you emotionally attached to Eve to the extent that you cannot resist the poison she presented to you? Are you blind with the love of your wife, Eve? Adam, love is blind. Love is blind. It was started from you, Adam. The poison she gave you to eat became your eyes opener. Love is blind. Marriage is eye opener. Beloved, disobedience to God will open your eye. It will expose your life to different calamity. It will bring regret to you as it brought regression to the life of Adam. The woman you gave me poison, the fruit of knowledge and evil, and I ate it. You regretted ever eating the forbidden fruit, just as many of you regretted ever stole money in your offices after the deed was done. Just as many of you regretted ever masturbating after the deed was done. And of course, just as many of you regretted ever committing fornication and adultery after the deed was done. My question to each and every one of you, my question to you, are you bewitched? Are you bewitched to have done what you will regret later? Beloved, my prayer to each and every one of you is that God will destroy forces. God will destroy every force that is making you to do what you will later regret ever done, in the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Beloved, of course, to many of you, fornication and adultery are poisonous to your destiny on earth, and you have eaten it, and your life has becoming what is it today. You ought to go many miles, but you go little mile. You ought to be great in life, notable throughout the whole earth, but you are nobody. You ought to be a blessing to many generations, but instead you became a curse to many yet unborn. You ought to bring honor to your family, but you brought disgrace, you brought shame. Many of you have successfully cooperated with the devil, and he has fed you with what is poisonous to your mission on earth. To many of you, the enemy has made an inquiry. He has made an inquiry, and they come to conclusion that drinking alcoholic was poisonous to your greatness on earth, and they have successfully caused you to be drinking up and down. To many of you, the devil allow you to be telling lies, deceiving everybody, because he knew long ago that you will deceive and lie against your destiny helper one day. To as many of you that are still visiting herbalists for one thing or the other, the devil allow you to love doing so, knowing fully to him that you cannot amount to anything in life, and at the end, hellfire is awaiting you. Of course, visiting herbalists for spiritual help is poisonous to your mission on earth, to your purpose of existence. Devil will cause you to hate calling on God for help with perfect hatred. To as many of you, you love to do what you ought not to do, and not to do what you ought to do, because your mind has been poisoned. Your senses of reasoning has been poisoned. When you love to embrace what you ought not to embrace, you are under the influence of poison. Your mind is poisoned. When you say yes, when you ought to have said no, you are under the influence of poison. Your mind is poisoned. Of course, you need help. When you say yes, when you ought to have said no to what is wrong. Beloved, all I want to achieve in today's message is to draw your attention to the fact that every unrighteousness is poisonous to your mission on earth. And of course, to avoid the way out of it is to live a separated life. If you want to be saint, don't have sinner as friend. If you want to be righteous, don't associate with unrighteousness. If you don't want to steal, don't make a thief your companion. If you don't want to go to hell, stop fellowship with those who are heading towards hell. If you don't want to be named with criminal, if you don't want to be named among the criminal, don't make criminal your friend. And of course, if you don't want to be an enemy of God, don't make those who do what he hated with perfect hatred your partner. To be named with God is to depart from what he hated with perfect hatred. Beloved, to guide against what is poisonous to your reason for living, you must consciously abstain from every appearances of evil. Drinking of alcoholic is poisonous. Of course, make a conscious effort to abstain from every appearances of it. Don't make drunkard your friend. Sexual immorality is poisonous to your reason for living. Make a conscious effort to abstain from every appearances of what could have lead you to commit all this sexual immorality. Beloved, if you don't want to drink alcoholic, your hand should be off its bottles. And now that you have determined to stay away from what God has considered poisonous to your mission on earth, and now that you have determined to stay away from what God has considered poisonous to your mission on earth, God bless you.